Yep.
Okay, so today we're learning about probability. First, we'll talk about the history of probability. And originally, questions about probability and chance arose to help gamblers win more money. It wasn't until around the 15th century that a mathematical take really took part. In 1494, a man named Luca Pacioli wrote something called the Summa, and it was one of the first printed discussions of game of chance. It's really about fair distribution and the stakes of an uninterrupted game of chance. Then later on in the 16th century, a man named Girolamo Cardano wrote a gambler's handbook, and it was really about how to get specified results regarding certain rules just pertaining to one guy. And then around 50 years later, Galileo came up with a complete table for the three dice problem, which is a well-known problem in probability. And despite all these efforts, it wasn't until the year of 1654 where the theory of probability really took set. George Boston worked for Louis XIV, and he didn't really understand how the division problem and the three dice problem really matched up. So he brought it to a man named Pascal, which I'm sure most of you heard in high school. And he's a mathematician, and he worked on these problems with another mathematician, Pierre de Fermat, who is also, they're pretty much the two main important people in stats and statistics. And they solved the solution, and that really made the mathematical theory of probability complete. And then after this, probability was really considered more with mathematicians. So later on, after they discovered that, a man named Christian Huygens wrote a treatise of probability, and it was really the first of its kind. It was really the first writing dedicated to the real solutions of probability. And then in 1713, the first book entirely dedicated to probability was written by Jacob Bernoulli. And that's another important name. The Bernoulli family will have many other contributions to this. Yes. So it's
That's in
still,
science.
Yeah.
That's probability.
It's still really emerging today, even throughout the years, the past few centuries. And it's really incredible to see. Everyone always says things happen unexpectedly. So a whole mathematical system came just from gamblers trying to win more money. So what is probability? It's really about the chance that a given event will occur, and it's the branch of mathematics that describes randomness. Why teach probability? The first reason is basically all the standards and principles of the U.S. are regarding a spiral curriculum. So what that means is that you teach something at a fundamental level, and then it keeps building from grades pre-K to 12. So without them learning probability at a young age, they're really not going to succeed as much as they would at the younger levels. So that's why they say that it's important for children to explore the process of probability at a young age. Okay. And then it's really, probability is something that can be everyday life. I think it's one of the most important mathematical concepts that you can tell kids to relate to. You'll start to see that researchers say that there's conflict between children and how they view the world and probability because they're not introduced to real-life situations in the classroom. And if they are exposed to different situations that probability would be helpful to, then they would really have a great understanding at a fundamental level, and then they would be able to build upon it when they get to the high school level. Just a few examples of how everyday life, you could do weather probability, what is the chance that it would rain, genetics, what is the chance that parents wants two kids, would you have a boy or a girl. You'll see statistics a lot in sports, which the kids might really enjoy because you could talk about baseball stats and all of that. So these are just some more examples you could read on your own time. Like a candidate voting based on the population and all, primary election, what is the probability that one candidate might win. You might want to talk about that during elections. Guided math principles. Since it's easily relatable to kids in the outside world, it's very easy to incorporate a classroom of numeracy and setting up workshops and stations. You can make it fun. It's kind of like a math that kids would enjoy if you set up stations with dice, cards, a lot of board games. If you trouble when you press it in the middle, it's a dice. You could do all that stuff and just have them relate it. Like ask the question, how is probability involved, and so on and so on. So my first activity is for second graders. What I would first like you to do is just take, each of you can just take one counter and then just pass it down. What they really want you to learn at the lower level is the idea of randomness. So what you're going to do is you can have them work in groups, but for now, just so you can try it yourself, everyone has a sheet and manipulative. The first thing you're going to do is take a guess. So you're going to really just take a guess. Do you predict that it's going to land on red or yellow? You can have them colored in with red or colored in with yellow, but you guys can just write R or Y. You might see that they might just guess like red, yellow, red, yellow, red, yellow, because they don't really know the whole concept of randomness yet, but you guys obviously do, so you can pick and choose how you want to do it. And then you're actually going to flip it 10 times and see your results. So you can take time to do that.
I think the spread seems to be
So long. It's on yellow. My population. Yeah, it's yes first. Yellow. Either right. 4 out of 10 right. So it's not like I'm literally. I don't believe you.
okay. Oh, it's the opposite of what I put out.
And you.
You're throwing it way up. Too high.
I'm getting everything opposite of what I put. And I guess I'm not going to be.
I literally put it up.
But everything is opposite.
Okay, so out of all of them, I got 1 right. I got so. It's like we're not going to East. Forgot about that.
Okay, so when you finish with that, you basically go over what they see similar, what they see different, why might their results be different than their guesses. And then maybe like as a closure and extension, you could pose this problem. It says some children were each told to toss a coin 40 times. Some did it properly, others just made it up. They put H for heads and T for tails. These are Daniel and Clara's results. So then they could work in partners and discuss it. The result is really that Clara really did it. Daniel's is too repetitive and too, like it has, I don't know how to put it, but you'll get the gist. And then another thing, my students now have this thing called Reading A to Z, which they can get on